Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Good morning, top of the morning in sunny California. It's a great morning. Yes, it is. It's a blessed morning. Yes, it is. You're listening to the Express Yourself Hour. I am your host, Dr. Rosie Milligan, coming to you live with nothing but straight talk. You know, that's just how we do it around here. Nothing but straight talk. You know, our prayers goes out for those who have made that transition, who have joined, they're up there with the wonderful one, with all those others who have transitioned. So I was saddened today to hear about Renokio Rashidi and also Dr. Paul Goss. I mean, two giants leaving here at the same time. We just never know. But anyway, our prayers goes out for the family, and may we always remember the lesson that was taught by both of them and what we have learned. You know, Dr. Goss having impacted so many people from a health standpoint. He was a health giant, and he stood tall. And Keith, just to think, you know, just a year or so ago when we lost Dr. Tim Morrow, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Old soldiers.
Yeah, and you don't see anybody rising up to, like, close to, like, taking their place. That's one thing I hope that, you know, somebody step up, because we certainly need to be talking about health today. Mm-hmm. And in our community more particularly, we really need that, you know. Anyway, you guys, just send in our prayers. So today we have a great show for you today. We have one that's not talked about enough, and we're going to dabble into it. Shawannah, is that you? Okay, so today we're talking about, let's talk about Black love and sex. Yes, we're going there. It's time that we go there. We talk about everything else but Black love and sex. Now, believe it or not, sex has a different meaning and purpose for Blacks. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you're saying, how is that? I know a lot of you Black folks out there think that you're Caucasian clones. I've been telling you for years that you are not. So we're going to explore how economics and social ills impact Black love and sex. I think it's time that we really take a look at that. When we start looking at, I think like last week, Keith, we talked about the number of Black women who will probably never get married, who are not married now. That's over 60%, you know. So that's a lot. And then we start talking about some of the ills that interferes with marriage, that cause marriage breakup. And certainly economics is close to being on the top of the list. You know, we talk about money issues and bedroom turmoils are some of the leading causes of divorce among people in general, not just Black folk. But if we're talking about economic, you have to say it's deeper when it comes to Blacks because of the economic disparity. So, I mean, we cannot overlook those differences and how it impacts our life and why. When we learn why, we're better able to get along with each other better as mates, husband, wives, family, and as a community. When we really grasp, Keith, how these social ills and how the economic ills impact our relationship, whatever would impact you as a person, impact you and your relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your community, just in general. It's not isolated. That it's not an isolated issue. You're impacting every area of your life when these things happen. Economic deprivation, the social ills, racism, unemployment, fear of never getting married. These are some real issues. Or fear of being able to stay married once you get married. So there are a lot of things that we need to talk about today, and we're going to talk about how it has a different meaning and why among black folks. When people who are wealthy, when they are stressed, many times they go get on that yacht, they take a trip, they go on a cruise. But for many black men, the only satisfaction that he can find and get many times is not getting on that yacht, is actually being with his woman. So therefore, sex become for many men that tranquilizer, that cure all. And there are times that they're not thinking about making love or being in love.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking about satisfaction. I think we all need some form of satisfaction in our lives. And for people who are economically deprived, sex tend to be the cheapest route out, or the freeway out. Cheap or free.
And I don't know about being cheap, but or free, but a lot of hidden costs.
Oh, you said a hidden cost, huh?
There's a lot of hidden costs. Okay.
Oh, so credit. Sound like you saying it's on credit, Keith. You're gonna pay later. Layaway.
Yeah, you're gonna pay later. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. But it's interesting because we never delved into black love and how we differ and what makes us different and how we see love and how we receive relationship, how we see it differently.
Yeah.
For the black woman, being a single person is a big problem within itself for some women, but not all. Some single women view being single as a tragedy. They really do look at it as gloom and doom. They look at it as a curse. But the greatest fear of black women is that of being alone.
Yeah.
Alone and rearing her children, because she's seen so much of it. She's come from not only just broken homes where she's seen the mother being alone and rearing the children. She's seen it because of the social injustice where a lot of black men was put in prison for little infraction of nothing and had longer sentences for their crime than other people who committed the same crime. So it's a time that we look from a holistic point, Keith, and look at all the factors that causes what we see among our people. So we tend to isolate it. But if we come and put this thing together in pieces like a puzzle and look at all those pieces and how they impact our lives, our relationships, our money, our spirituality, and how it impacts everything, then I think we'll be able to get a hold to what's happening. Because it's like a diagnosis when you go to the doctor. Once you can diagnose the problem, that's when you can begin to order the prescription for it or do the treatment for it. Only when you make the diagnosis. I don't think we've had enough people pushing into the area trying to come up with a diagnosis and a treatment plan. I guess this is sounding medical, but it is. We need a treatment plan, Keith, for Black America. We really do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're hard. And even America, period, because America is actually decaying faster. So it's not just black folks, it's the whole society is decaying at a rapid rate.
Right. So we definitely need a treatment plan. And when I say Black America need a treatment plan, because we are not Caucasian clones, and our problems are different. Our issues are different. Our outcome to some of the same problems are different. So I think when we begin to isolate and look at ourselves as not being European clones, I think then we can diagnose ourselves without saying, I don't want to be different. I want to be like everybody else. When I wrote the book, Satisfying the Black Man, Sexually Made Simple, and Satisfying the Black Woman, Sexually Made Simple, these are not sexual methodology. It deals with the psychosocial aspect of the black man and black woman, their past, their history, their adaptation to adjusting here in America, and some of those ills and pains from their forefathers have seeped and passed down through their generation also. But when you begin to talk about Black America in an isolated form, people tend to want to say, well, we're all the same. Why are you talking about just black folks? That's what they asked me when I did the book, Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman. Why did you say black man and black woman? Because nobody have addressed our issues. No. Just like in medicine. For years, doctors knew all the research. It wasn't about what happened to black folks. The research was about white folks, European. And they just threw us in there in between, not recognizing that there were a lot of differences that we shared. So I think when we begin to look at the difference, look at what we share in common and what we do not have in common, and work on that as a group, I think we would be better off. We should not be afraid to look at the fact that we are different.
Right. And black couples, can you hear me, Dr. Milligan?
Yes. Is Dr. Thompson?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Thompson.
Yeah, black couples are under so much pressure. My mother had said to me once, she said, oh, your marriage got a lot of pressure because Horace was on the police and I was a social worker. And at the time, I didn't think of that as being a stressor, but it was. It really did impact, and it didn't do it in a good way. And then I'm thinking of now so many families are about to be put out. So can you imagine what that's doing for relationships? And if the rent, and then I was even saying, if you have to pay $2,000 a month for rent, what does that do? Of course you blame each other when you've been married. I talked to a person who's been married almost 50 years. And I was telling her some of the stuff I went through with her brother before, he passed. And she was laughing, but then she admitted, she said, yeah, my husband said some horrible things. They've been married almost 50 years, because you start blaming each other. That's the bad thing. We start blaming one another for things that was going on since slavery that had nothing to do with us. They blaming, and we ain't got no money, we look at each other. It's that nigga, well, I'm broke. Whatever, we just, all that, and that's the bad thing. And like in the last few years, I've learned about how small, what a small percent of the money we make in this country. I said, well, it's a miracle any of us get married, and it's a miracle all of us ain't on drugs, shooting heroin, and everything else. That we do as well as we do is a miracle. But if we know what the issues are, I'm looking back, hindsight 2020, what I would do, but I did the best I could at that time. But, I say, I really wasn't understanding. It's hard to be understanding when you're trying to feed some kids and they looking at you. And if you end up homeless, they looking at you as the mama. Really, the mother gets the brunt of a lot of the blame for anything. And so it's hard, and then these are things you don't know how to put them in words when you're in a relationship. And I say women do relationships better than men, but it's just so sad. So many women now have never seen a relationship. Now, I can say I saw love. My mother loved my father. She washed his back. He didn't even know what it was to put a plate in front of himself. And it wasn't that he had no big job, but he was treated like a king. He was a construction worker who didn't work 6 months of the year, but he was treated like a king. Well, of course, I came up, I wasn't like that. I'm working, and I don't even know how she did it. She was home some years, and then when she did go to work, her hours were, kind of where she could still do the motherly thing. But I even see how she, but I think it was a choice because she had been raised as an orphan. So she made it a vow that I'm going to be a good wife and a good mother, and I'm going to, really put a lot into my family. And it's so much harder for women now. They're working, get home, and I was one of the ones that cooked. I didn't eat the fast food, so I'm glad of that. But a lot of women now, they don't have time for relationships. By the time they do their job and deal with their children, homework, get them in programs, try to keep them out of trouble, they don't have time for the relationship. And so sex is almost, from what I'm understanding, a lot of people are not having sex like they should. And sex is the thing that can keep you connected. Long you can have a roommate then if you ain't going to be having sex, but a lot of marriages are sexless now.
Absolutely. Now, you really hit on something that is absolutely the truth, because sexual appetite, and I'm going to bring Keith in this picture, because sexual appetite for women, most women, you women call in here and talk to me, you're always calling and telling me these things. So let's talk about it. That sexual appetite is not when things are bad, when they don't know how the rent is going to be paid, they got an eviction notice, and you want to talk about sex and an eviction notice on the door, and I don't know whether me and my kids are going to be in the street and you want to make love, but the man, nothing stops him most time. It becomes a tranquilizer. It becomes what helps him get through the day. But for women, that's quite different. Keith, let's hear from you about that. Men talk.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? And this is something I've been talking to a whole bunch of people about, especially the PhDs. I've been talking about them about that. Is black people see sex differently, right? Especially black women. Black women demand sexual performance out of their men. Okay, they do, because if you come up in it in the black community and you talk to the boys, talk to the girls, you have to have sexual prowess. So I don't know where women say that they have a different sexual appetite, because you pick that man because he has sexual prowess.
Okay.
And in other communities, that is not the first thing. Okay, black women choose their men differently than everybody else. Okay, looks and sex are one of the first things that black women look at. I've talked to matchmakers, and that's the hardest part for them to get past. Okay, they have great guys, great jobs, great success, but if he doesn't look good and he can't get down in the bedroom, then he's looked at as a lesser man. So black women look at people different, at men differently. Black women look as their men to be more of a support, especially emotional support, because sex is coming from my relationship. Sex is probably more of an emotional support for women than it is for men. Really, believe it or not, because
Well, Keith, I think when you're looking at that, it's the intimacy. Women need to feel secure, and somehow they feel secure as if the man is really want to make love to her on an often basis. Number one, to make her feel like she thinks she's the only, and she's the only one. She's the only one.
Well, this is a woman's show, so I'm not going to get too descriptive, right?
No, go ahead. It's just for men and women.
No, go ahead.
Believe it or not, and this I've known this in my own life. I've talked to many guys. I've talked to women. Okay, the easiest way to get a woman calmed down and get her nerves straight is, like the old man said, give her a shot of yak and a shot of back. Orgasm is the quickest way to get a woman's mind right. Okay, it is, and that's emotional support for him. And because we were actually looking at Simone Biles and her being separated from her boyfriend, right? She can't perform because women need that bonding. Okay, and sex is part of bonding. Okay, especially in the black community, sex is part of bonding. So. So especially for black men do far more emotional support than women actually realize. Because women think that, okay, and I've actually talked about this. Women think, okay, I rub his back, I put his plate down, and whisper a couple of good words, and that's emotional support, right? Women don't realize that. I've had to talk to men, okay, that if you're a girlfriend, if she's your girlfriend or she's your wife, and you're going to have to listen to her talk for those 2.5 hours about whatever. Okay, every day. That's your job. Okay, I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it. I know your eyes are gonna be rolling up the top of your head, and I know you want to tell her to shut up. You know, you've been talking for an hour. Be quiet so I can watch the game and go on to something else. No, you got to sit there. Okay, because that's how she releases herself emotionally to you. That's one of your major functions, is to pay attention to her and be an emotional release to her. And so men, especially black men, do far more emotional work than we actually get credit for. But the thing is, women see we're just talking, okay? And I'm just talking to him. He's listening because he wants to hear me talk, and they believe that. But no, that's him giving emotional support. If you ask any woman how come they don't get along, right? He don't listen to me. He don't talk to me. He doesn't listen. It's not that he doesn't talk to me. No, he doesn't listen to me the way I want him to listen to me. I want him to sit there and be present while I talk, because
be present.
Because
Right.
because I tell men, don't look for logic in what she's saying. She's not trying to tell you logic. She's not trying to give you information. Women talk to actually express emotions. I said she's trying to get her emotions out, get her feelings out to you, and relate that to you, so you guys can bond as far as in an emotional aspect. So, but that's your job. That's what you do. You need a man to talk to like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's a good point, because a lot of times men get frustrated when women are expressing themselves, because especially when they're expressing in the area of their life that the man can't do anything about. Particularly if you're on a job and you basically almost a breadwinner, you coming home complaining about your job, what your boss did. He don't want to hear that, because he feel like he wish he was in the position to say, well, tell them to kiss your foot and come home. You don't have to be on that job. So there's a lot of pressure for black men when it comes to that. They got to listen to this. They don't want to hear it over and over. And they tend to think you want them to fix stuff. So that's what I want men to understand. Women are not coming to you to fix stuff. She just wants you to hear her out. She really likes that job. She just doesn't like, she likes the money she's making. She likes the people she's working with. She just need to talk about that crap that went on at work. And you tired of hearing that crap because she's saying the same thing every day. So you don't want to hear it. Yeah, so but why are you still there?
Oh, every day.
Why don't you just
not
quit?
every day.
Oh, every day.
Why don't you
not
just
every day.
Come on, Shawannah.
And women are vocal, and men don't. Men don't talk and express what's going on. There'll be a lot of stuff they keep bottled up inside them. But women, we like to talk, and we just go on for the horses. And you just said that about, we repeat it, and we like tell all around, ring around the rosy and all the story, and set up the backdrop. And they don't want to hear that, but they'll sit and listen. You're right, that is part of men do provide a lot of emotional support in that way.
They want it. Well, women don't. Yeah. Okay, I tell men, and this is something, a key that I had to learn, and I had to tell other guys. Women don't want to be heard; they want to be felt. Okay, that's why they use so many words. Okay, a man can get his point across with a few sentences, right? Why do women use so many words? They want to be felt. They don't want to be heard. They want to be felt. And their expression, they want you. The quicker you actually get into what she feels like, the shorter the actual discussion will be. Because I feel that he understands me. He knows what I'm feeling, and so she can kind of cut off the conversation. But if she can't get across her feeling, she'll keep talking until you actually feel her. Yeah.
And one of the things, men think they can solve everything by, okay, but you hurt, they did you wrong on a job, your sister did you wrong. Come on, baby. He feel like he can take you to bed, and that's medicine. That's going to solve everything. He just gave you a shot of penicillin.
Hey, Dr. Rosie, you can do that. Trust and believe. You can do that, and right after 30 minutes after they recover, they're going to start right back with what they were saying.
Exactly.
So it's not going to get rid of it.
You're trying to say, I thought I solved the problem. Did I just make love to you? Did I just make you feel good? Yeah, you did, but that's a few orgasmic moments. That only lasts for a little while. Y'all got to understand that only lasts for a little while, okay? So don't think it's a cure-all. Don't think it's secure.
If the walls could talk, Dr. Rosie, if the walls could talk.
And it's like watching, some of these reality shows have been good. The one that taught us a lot about the different cultures is the Kardashians. their thing is to marry a man for his money and what he has, because all the men they've been with pretty much have had money. And they've done some real low life stuff. So to me, one thing I can say that we do marry for love, and we're not looking. But that was what they were trained since they were young girls. They were on pills at 14 and able to earn. But they were taught go out there because their mama, she was going with the lawyer, the one that was on the OJ case.
Oh yeah,
going with him when she was real young, and broke up, and they went back together, got married. But it's like we have never been taught to marry for money.
Oh, you gotta love him. If you don't love him, honey, don't you marry him. If you don't love him, I don't care what he got. That's what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
Marry for love. And I've interviewed Dr. Thompson, women who said that they got married. They said, I did not love my husband when we got married. I wanted to get away from home. A lot of black women want to get away. Somebody say get away. Let me hear you all say get away.
Get away.
Get away. I sure did. Get out the house. Yeah.
Get away. I can't wait to get away. So this is my mean of escape when that man say, can you move in with me or would you marry me? But I've heard women say they did not love. They liked the person. They did not love them. But they say that person was so kind, so good, so nurturing that they fell in love with that person later. I've had a lot of the people share that. Yeah, they grew to love him, So let me give the phone number out. It's 310-928-7733, 310-928-7733. You can email us if you're, at work and you don't want nobody to hear what you're saying. I got it. Email us at innerlightradio@yahoo.com. That's INNERLIGHT, innerlightradio@yahoo.com. We are talking about sex. Yes, we're talking about. It's interesting. When I wrote my book, Satisfying the Black Man, Satisfying the Black Woman, and I was on the speaker's circuit doing television shows, and my sister called me one Sunday. She said, what are you getting ready to do? I said, I have a speaking engagement today. She got quiet, and then she said, I know you're not talking about sex on Sunday.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you can't even talk about sex on Sunday. I said, now, what would make her say something like that, And she was quite embarrassed when I was on Sally Jesse Raphael show, talking about sex, and her neighbors and her friend, they was calling her, your sister on television. One of my sisters said she had to tell one lady, I know she's on, damn it. Let me listen to it. Let me hear, okay? They were trying to be embarrassed because during that time in the 90s, Keith, it was embarrassing for a woman. They didn't accept that. If it was okay for Dr. Ruth to talk about, if you want to know if they having an erection, put a stamp around their penis. And if the stamp...
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
You remember Dr. Ruth? It was
Dr.
okay
Ruth.
for Dr. Ruth. But when Dr. Rosie came out and started talking about sex, trust me, it was not accepted as well because we're not supposed to be talking about sex. She wrote this sex book and called herself a Christian. That's what don't Christians have sex? How did you get in?
Yeah.
I mean,
you
it's
can be a Christian talking about sex.
Better.
That's for sure.
Where the Christians
what we
come
need
from.
to do, Dr. Rosie, a lot of times what we do is when we're in a relationship, a real relationship. I'm not just talking about having sex. And we're in a relationship with our mate. A lot of times we go to bed angry and maybe with our backs turned to you. And I think that one thing that we need to learn to do is not go to bed angry with our partner, because the longer you're angry, the more it grows. It's like a little seed, and then eventually it's going to break up. And unfortunately for us as blacks, we weren't taught about that real family relationship. I mean, a lot of us grew up in single parent households. I know I did. In the beginning, my family, my mother and father was together, but as I grew older, they broke up. And now it's just all about the woman taking care of everything. And so we have that sense of independence, and we don't need a man, and we got this. And the man senses that from the woman. And I think that's what messes up the black couples, because we don't understand the word submit. It's like, what are you talking about, submit? Are you kidding me? I'm not submitting to you. But in the Bible, they talk about submitting. They talk about submitting, and submitting is not a bad thing. Submitting is really a form of love. It's not the word submit, like bow down to me. It's more like I love you, you love me, and we're supposed to show that love. And unfortunately, we weren't taught that. Mm-mm. And our black men did go to jail. When they did go to jail, but when our black men did go to jail, they went to jail for a long time. And, you know, blacks have been being put in jail for wrong things for a long time. So what happens? You become a single-parent household, and you have that friction and that argument, and you feel like you don't need a man. And that's what women do. They feel like they don't need a man. And we do need a man. We do need that comfort, and we do need that love, and we do need to have sex. And we do need to be able to talk about sex freely. And because when you hide that, what are you hiding? You're hiding something that everybody needs. You need sex. Sex is something you should talk about, and I'm glad you write about it and talk about it.
It's one of the things that we never talked about enough coming up in our families, the black families, is intimacy. I mean, white kids always grew up with their parents kissing each other, rubbing and patting them on the butt all in front of the kids and stuff. We didn't grow up with that. You know, we never seen our parents kissing.
Nope.
No, I mean, how many people saw their parents just stand up there in the middle of the room and just kiss each other?
Yeah, just stand there looking at each other.
You didn't see that. So that's why a lot of men grew up not being able to show their feelings. And that was frustrating to women. It's like, well, you can't show me none of this, but when you get in the bed, it's totally different. I want to see and what they were really saying is intimacy. How you can be so angry, and then you go to bed, here you trying to pull my drawers down. Now, we just got through cussing and fussing. This ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but nobody in our group want to talk about the issue. We would have been so much better off if they had addressed these issues. Intimacy is really important. Men, you only saw them cry at a funeral. They had to hide their feelings. Let's break it down. Let's go back and look at how this started. If a man showed that he loved a black woman, loved his sister out in the field on the plantation, he was shipped to another plantation, because you were not brought here to be lovable. You were not brought here to get married. You were brought here to be a good hand in the field, to pick the cotton, the corn, and do all of that stuff. So if you showed, they getting too close, you looked up, you were shipped to another farm. And for black women, in my book, Nigga Please, I think everybody needs to read that book. Nigga Please explain. And Keith, you mentioned how often I talked about black women are reared in reverse order to nature. Anyone reared in reverse order to nature is going to be chaos. So that's what I'm talking about. We're different. You know, we are not like the other people. So when we understand that, then we can heal, because the black woman saw her man being beaten down in the presence of her and her children. She was the one socialized. The thing was tough. You go to the door and tell them, I'm not here. The black woman. And now, because things seem to be a little different, she's bossy. She's controlling. She's doing what she saw her mother do, her grandmother. They've always had to stand in the gap for their men, because their men was murdered for stuff that black women got away for saying. So now she's in reverse order to nature. She's reared to be independent. And that's why when today you tell your son, when you leave, you do this, police stop you, but you never tell that girl to do anything. Why? So you raise him to be fearful and scared, because you have always feared for his death. It didn't just start happening, Shawannah, that black women feared for the lives of their sons when they left home. This ain't nothing new. Y'all understand?
No, this has been going on since slavery.
New. Right.
Nothing new.
But she didn't fear that for the daughter. She never told the daughter, don't do this. When police stop her, she cussing them out and throwing her hands and saying everything she want to say. And she's not fear. But that same man that you taught to be so fearful and to bow down now, when he take on your daughter as a wife, he ain't no man. He ain't never been taught to be a man. He been afraid to be a man. You have taught him against being a man. Being a man means you got killed, Negro.
Mhm.
We got to have
Yeah.
these
You gotta.
conversations so we can see why our men
Right.
treat us the way they do and why women treat them the way they do. You know, I hear black men
Yeah.
saying, well, one thing about the white man treat the black woman better, he do this and that. Look, the black woman did not come to America on Pan Am American Airline, damn it. She came here on that
Mhm.
same slave ship. Beat,
Work just as
branded,
hard.
yeah, branded. It branded her so you know that this is your woman. She was made to have sex with them. And then they
Mhm.
accused her. If the white men looked at the black woman, they wanted to send her away from the farm. Said that she was enticing them. I mean, we've been through something, folks, and that we are still
Right.
getting a ripple effect from that. So when we learn that, then we can embrace each other. I mean, it's a
Right.
lot.
Mhm.
That,
So don't ever think
and
you
we
are
have
a
a lot.
Caucasian clone. You don't love the same way. Your sex ain't the same thing, 'cause we were not taught to go have sex with folks. I mean, you got prostitutes now, but back in the day, you wouldn't be having sex with nobody for money. That wasn't your thing. You wasn't taught to, let's go sick her on that man. He's a star. I want my daughter to marry. You want them to marry somebody that you love. Even in the African culture, I believe, Keith, they marry. I don't know if they still do it. It was a time when they picked a man up for their children.
Arranged marriage, they definitely did. And I think the older cultures had, since they moved back into the person's family 3 and 4 years. So in one way, 3 and 4 generations, in one way, the American idea of love is bad because a lot of times you marry people who don't know anything about their family because
Yeah.
you're marrying for love and for your liver quiver. And if you always used to say,
Yeah.
Dr. Milligan, you find out that they got murders and crazy all in the family. And so
Everybody
it's
on.
better on drugs or got a addiction, predilection to being addicted to drugs, all that. You really, I don't know. As you say, if you know more about your history, it can help you not be, you won't have such unrealistic expectations because I think we still have this thing that our man should take care of us.
Yeah, but
Even
he
though
should
we
bring in the
say that
bacon.
we can.
Yeah, it's your job
Right.
to bring in the bacon when things get tough. You the man of the house. I mean, do we solve this problem together? Do we make sure we can get the rent to pay the rent and not be evicted? Now I'm pointing, you the man, and you gonna let this happen? You the man. What does being the man mean, Keith? What does being the man mean to a black man? Let's talk about that.
That
What
is
does it mean to be a black man?
that is a good question because there really isn't one definition, one thing that you could actually point at. Um, what most black men say to be a man is be in control of your life as much as you can, and that's difficult for a black man. And have to
Being in
never
control.
try. What most black men want to be as autonomous and independent and control of their life as they possibly can be, especially in this society because. The white society wants to control you. Your women want to control you. Your family wants to control you, and the justice system wants to control you. So how do you actually kind of not break them because you can't break them? How do you loosen the bind so you actually be the person you want to be?
Right. So
Because
how can you feel like a man if you feel like you're not coming up to the standards of what society say you should be? That's why a lot of black men don't want to go to church because they feel like they're not going to be on control of the pastors who are dictating, telling them
yeah,
what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and who to do it with. They
yeah,
don't want to be bothered.
because the funny thing is that when other societies talk about manhood, right, or what a man is, it's always the men actually saying what a man is. Okay, it's them determining what manhood actually is, right? Like you say, Dr. Rosie, in our society, in our culture, in the American black culture, it's the women that are always talking about what a man is, what's a real man is, or we need to change the definition of manhood because it's not that every scholar I even see talking about manhood. It's normally a bunch of females sitting around talking about this is what manhood should be, or if you don't meet these metrics according to us, according to women, then you're not a man. And that's the way it goes in our society. So, like you said, it's in the reverse order of nature. Because I've been down. I always. A lot of black women said, I need this amount of money or this situation in this house or whatever it is to actually for you actually be a man and prove to me that you're a man, right? And I've been down in Central America where people have nothing. I mean, absolutely have nothing. And those women treat their husbands, even in the tin shack, better than some women up here in the West treat their men with nothing. And I've seen them. So what I'm saying is, wealth and all that kind of accoutrements that we think determines relationship between a man and woman, I say pshaw, because I've seen it. I've seen people with nothing actually do better, and the women actually treat them better with more respect and more dignity.
It goes back to the reason I always say we are not Caucasian clones. That's why how our black mothers used to say to their daughter, go to school, get a good education, and find a man to sit you down. What she was trying to do is emulate the white woman, because the white woman was sitting down while she was rearing her children, doing her ironing, doing her cooking. But she did not equate it with the fact that the reason the white woman was sitting down is because she had you up, your auntie, your grandmother. She had all these black women up doing the work. So they never saw that part, you know? So here we are trying to be fit in a culture that's not for us. Just like they would say, well, the man, is your job to bring in the bacon. It's your job to take care of everything. But yet you were working for the man. You were getting pennies on a dollar. So how could you position your family and your wife? How could you give them and provide them with the same thing that the master was doing? That's what messed us up, because we wanted to act like we were clones, but we didn't have what they had to do, what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's why we need to really look at that. And I think we need to have a nationwide conference to develop our criteria and our standard for what a man is in the context of a black man in this country. Okay? And that is real important, because as long as you have these young women out here with the wrong expectation and the wrong definition for what a man is, we're going to have some problems. And we need to fix these problems.
Because if you look at the stats, and this boggled my mind, right? Black women are the least married and the most divorced. And that makes absolutely zero sense. And the average black marriage, modern black marriage actually lasts less than 5 years. And 80% of it is actually women actually filing for divorce. So, like I say, something has to change, and I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know how, because I'm not a woman. I don't know how to get it through to women that something within them was going to have to change, or the way they approach relationships and marriage is going to have to change, because what they're doing now is not working, and it's actually accelerating. Because you know what? I tell black women, I said, whether you like it or not, okay, sooner or later, they've already done. They've lifted the gates, off of our society, off our culture, right? So young black men are free to roam and mate with whoever they want to mate with, and black women have never had to compete for their men, because their men have always been closed off, like in a little pen. You can just pick one, right? That's no longer the case. So black women have to come with a different strategy, because what they're doing is not working, and it's getting worse.
Well, I think this idea of independence, I can do one thing about other women, particularly white women. I think they've been socialized to make the man feel significant, not talk down to him, and make him feel.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, pick up, if she a black woman to pick up a 5-gallon water jug and set it up on the container because her man didn't jump up and do it right then when she asked him. She wanted him to move right then she'll jump. I can do it myself. I was moving bottles before I met you. I can lift things heavier than this. White woman walk around, she drop a straw on the floor. Honey, can you pick that up? So he feels like she needs him.
Yes.
So I think we have
and
to
she makes him feel good.
And
she makes him feel good.
She makes him feel good. She says, "Oh my God, you're so strong and big."
Yeah, and we've been taught to. Yeah, and we've been taught to
but
say,
that's
"I
what
don't
man
need
wants.
you."
Come on, Keith. You want to hear that. You want to hear how good you are and how, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Wow.
That's also
It feeds you. It's like
that,
words of
that's
affirmation.
that's part of it, but also, and I've said this, right, because I actually experienced this. First time I actually really noticed this was when my kids were actually out in Lancaster going to school, and my ex, she was having a whole lot of problems with the teachers. You know, she talked to the teacher, she had a problem. When I walked in there, the white woman gave me exactly what I wanted. They said, yes, sir. They talked to me like they were interested, and they deferred to me, right? When my kids went to a black school, it's the exact opposite. Okay, they didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to talk to mama. Okay, they didn't defer to me. They deferred to her. So basically, this is a relationship that we have, and if we're going to have this kind of relationship, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to make our society work. Okay, you can't if black women are going to lead the society, they're going to lead the society, and they're going to lead the society. Make sure it works for everybody. You can't be independent and in control and then escape responsibility.
Yeah, you're trying to be both. Which one you want to be?
Yeah,
You know,
but
I don't need you.
But you
why
don't
do you want to say that to me? I don't need you. Is it all about money? You know?
No.
I don't need you. What make you not? What do you need? Then question to black women. What is it that you need from a black man? Mm-hmm. What do you need? Okay, that's what we got to determine, and then that's what you need to go for when you're hooking up a relationship. Not getting married to somebody because you want to feel society's script. Yeah, I've been married. When you didn't want marriage. Not only did you not want marriage, you didn't even want sex. A lot of women are actually impotent. But they want to get married so they can have a baby or just so they can say to society. Now, Tim keep coming back here with little comments. Let me tell you guys. He said, I hate to say this. Listen, you guys. Tim, I tell you, I hate to say this. Pre-marital sex have ruined marital sex. If they had a lot of sex by the time they get married, sex become less desirable. Tim, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. This is the point, and this is something. There's a very good book written in 1995 called The Alchemy of Love and Lust by Teresa Crenshaw. She actually studied under Masters and Johnson, right? And she actually goes through all the hormones and the chemicals that released during sex for a woman, right? A woman has sex to bond, right? Orgasm is to bond that woman to that man, right? A woman bonds to her man the same way that she bonds to her children through these hormones, right? And if a woman has too many partners that she has bonded to, okay, the hormones and the chemicals are like drugs, right? What happens if you keep using the same drug over and over and over and over again? You get a resistance to it, right? So the more partners, and this has been shown, the more partners a woman actually has through her life, the less her ability to bond to the current partner is going to be. That doesn't mean that she can't bond to him. The thing is, it's less. The bond won't be as strong.
Okay.
Well, that's the reason for it. There is science.
Now,
how about men? How about men when they've had a lot of partners?
They don't care.
I kind of think this is what I think about what you just said. I think that women get caught up and they have sex with a man, okay? In the beginning, and they think they want to have sex with that man.
Yeah.
And then they continue having sex with that man, and it's not really somebody they really were emotionally connected to.
Okay.
But because they now became their boyfriend, and then soon to become their husband, they were never really emotionally connected. So it wasn't the fact that I'm having sex and we had so much great sex before. It was just I was having sex and I wasn't really into it, but now I married you and now, I'm stuck with you. We settle. We can't settle.
Okay, well, that's part of what I'm not saying to that end. What I'm saying is to what Tim said, right? And it's been shown. It's been shown that the more partners a woman has, the less she'll be able to bond to the current partner. If she's got 30, 40 partners, okay, and she's bond to like 6, 7, 8 of them, right? Well, with a strong bond. When she gets to you, she's basically that punch or that chemical or that hormone won't be as effective on her as with the first guy.
Well, Keith, how do men bond? How do men bond?
Men actually bond emotionally more psychologically than they do physically, because men don't have the reason that women bond this way is because the strongest bond a woman's going to have is when she's going through labor pains, right? Her strongest bond is be toward her children. That's what the chemicals are actually set up for. The man is secondary. Okay, her orgasm is not as strong as childbirth, but the thing is, those are the same chemicals that she has. So when a man has, I tell guys to be careful about, especially guys that think they're good at having sex, be real careful about who you have sex with, because if you do it too well, she's going to bond to you. And she bonds to you, that's a very hard lock to break. And if a woman has bonds with too many guys, then the effect will be less and less and less and less, just like a drug, because it's a chemical reaction. So it's not about one.
I don't think women have bonds with a lot of men. I just don't think that. I think you think that. I don't think so. I don't think women can have bonds with 6 or 7 men in their lifetime.
It's science.
I don't think so.
I don't agree.
I don't agree with that.
You might not, but the thing is,
that's a male chauvinist saying that a woman. That way, women only have one man.
Hey, only men can bond.
And that's the only person they can compare to. Yeah, that's right.
No, I think men.
I wish it was. But the thing is, this is actual science. I'm not saying something that has not been tested or proven. All right, because
I don't believe in science anymore in the first place.
Okay, all right. That's right.
I believe in feelings.
Why do you think that in the old days they wanted a woman that was a virgin? Because that's the only sexual experience. She will only bond to one man. I would tell you about the other end, which is a pimp and a prostitute, which works in a similar fashion, but that's outside the scope of this show. Okay, it works in
she's gonna always love him because he was the first man she had sex with. That ain't nothing.
No. The first man.
Because I can say I could agree with that. I hold my hands up.
The first man that she,
because I was not in love.
The first man that she bonded to. Every man cannot.
But you know what, Keith? I'm gonna go real personal, okay? And I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna go personal, okay? The first person I had sex with, I thought I was supposed to be in love with him.
Okay.
And I was not. But because you're taught you're supposed to be in love, you're supposed to be with this one person, you're with them, okay? And you feel like you're supposed to be with them. But you're not. Sometimes you're just not supposed to be with them. And I don't agree with you can fall in love more than 6 or 7 times. I don't see that. I just have never done it. I've never slept around either. I don't sleep around.
Well, you don't.
So I don't have all those multiple men like that. But I can say that I've only bonded with 2 men in my whole life.
Yeah, you bonded. Yeah, that's the thing. You bonded. That's the key. It's not having sex. I'll say this, okay? I'll say this, and this I want Dr. Rosie's permission to actually say it, because this is her show, and this is not for adults. Okay. There's a reason that a prostitute will pick a pimp and bond to him, right? She can have sex with thousands of guys. Why does she pick a pimp? Because she can only bond to one man. If she tries to bond with 1,000 guys, she'll go nuts. She picks a man to bond to. That becomes the bond. Sex is just facilitates the bond, right? Sex is not the bond itself. Sex facilitates the bond. She can only bond to one man. If she tries to bond to 1,000 men, she'll go nuts. So she picks one man to be emotionally and physically bond to. That's how come she picks a pimp.
It's not that we pick it; it just happens. It's an emotional connection.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Let me go through the science.
Okay, can a woman bond to a man who a woman can bond to a man she never had sex with? Emotional bond.
Okay.
Emotional.
She can have She can have an emotional attachment. Okay. This is something that I learned from a friend of mine, Ron Wills. He actually wrote a book, right? It's about the imprint, right? A man can bond to a woman psychologically without ever touching her, right? That's like OnlyFans and porn works, right? Because if the woman fits a man's image, he'll bond to her, right? Well, the woman has to have three things to bond, right? She has to have the imprint, the image of the guy that she wants in her mind, right? She has to have an emotional bonding to which is when he speaks to her, right? Speaks to her, that bonds to her emotionally. But also, if he doesn't hit the third marker, which is sex, make her orgasm, he will never complete it. I've heard that too many times. The guy will look like she wants, he'll talk like she wants, but if he fails that third one, she will not bond to him.
Well, Keith, do you realize how many women out here who are even married women who have never ever in their life had an orgasm?
Yeah, that's if they never had it, and which is probably an issue.
You never had an orgasm?
Yeah, that's
right. It's a lot of women.
Which is why they can't really bond to that husband.
We should have this,
but they still stay married.
Because that's training and duty.
But you know what? I'm so glad she said that, because I believe the reason why you don't have orgasms is because you're not emotionally connected to that person, and you feel like you're supposed to be.
I'm not a woman. I can't.
You know, the reason why older men
let me
go with
stop
younger
you right
women.
there. No, the
can't
reason he haven't had it because he don't know the spot. Okay.
I wasn't gonna say that one.
No. You know, we have to be emotionally connected to that man.
No, not necessarily.
We just don't have that.
Not
I
to
don't
have
care how
an
good
orgasm.
of a
Not have an
sex
orgasm. No, not
person
necessarily.
you are. If you
Shawannah,
No.
Shawannah, hold your thought. A woman can have an orgasm with a ditto. Is she connected to a ditto?
Yeah, but we know how to do that.
But is she connected?
Exactly. Oh, so you will get Dr. Rosie, run off the air.
You'll get us kicked off of here.
You'll get a run off the air.
She said she get off the phone.
You're doing too much, Shawannah. You're doing too much.
It already kicked me out.
But we have an emotional connection to ourselves, don't we?
Now she's trying to kick me off the air. I need to have some place to go. I can't go to church.
Not me. I didn't kick you off the air. I thought Say said I'm leaving now.
Shawannah,
After that, not you. You can handle it.
I wish there was some, because
our guest says she's leaving.
there's too many guys that have women sexually addicted to them that those women cannot stand.
No, that's fake. It's all fake, Keith. It's all fake. Because listen, women, we have to understand and get it in connection with our emotions. When we first meet a guy, and I hear it so much, as soon as they meet him, they're like, "Oh my God, he's so the one. I just love him so much." I'm like, "What the heck? How many times have you gone out with him?" 2 times.
We got a caller.
And how are you? Come on, Keith. You're not emotionally connected to that guy.
Let's take this caller because it's 11. And folks, the main thing we wanted you all to know and want to leave you with, that black men and women, black love and sex is different. Believe it or not, sex has a different meaning and purpose for black. So let's explore how the economic and social ills impact black love and sex. Folks, this is real. You're not Caucasian clone. Caller, go ahead. Give us your name, where you're calling from. Caller, go ahead.
We have to do a Dr. Rosie after dark. Okay.
Yeah. But it's really important, you guys. We are not. Black folks don't try to think that you're the same. You're not.
And black women put a whole lot more emphasis on sex and orgasm than other races of women do. They do.
Well, they're looking for a good feeling. They're not getting it. They can't get on that yacht and take a trip. They can't go on that cruise. So sex is the only pleasure, enjoyment that the average poor person can get. That's why a lot of poor people have more sex.
The twin killers, that and food, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely. So never forget that. So we have some social ills. We have some differences among our people that impact how we love each other and impact our sexual activity. What we would do, what we won't do, what we feel about, what we think a man should do. That's just got women saying, he don't know how to give me an orgasm. I said, do you know how to give yourself one? What you mean? I ain't gonna try. Come on, y'all. If you don't know what it feels like, then you don't know what it is when you have it. One lady told me,
and you can't tell him how to give you one if you don't know. Yeah.
Right. One lady told me,
and you also have
said,
to open up your mind to all this stuff too. You see how you're talking, Dr. Rosie? Some people are scared to talk about this stuff.
We talking about black
Don't
women.
be scared. It's kind of fun.
I know. One lady said to me, she said, well, Doc, I don't really know whether I've had, because I was talking about so many women never had an orgasm. She said, well, I don't know if I had one or not. I said, you haven't. If you say this.
And you don't know, you didn't
so
have
mean.
it, boo.
Right.
You're so mean. So mean.
No, because they believe.
And you have to wonder if you had an orgasm.
Yeah, because
So
when they
mean.
go in Hollywood, they think they're supposed to hear bells, and people are so mixed up about and an orgasm is not the only part about sex. People need to learn to enjoy the scenery along the way. I mean, some people don't have one because they go into it just forcefully. Well, I got to have an orgasm. Why are you focusing on that? Just enjoy the experience. That's why it never happens to some people. And the man is rushing instead of him slowing down. He's just trying to rush to make sure you do have one. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, most people, when you really talk to them, the journey along the way is what's really lasting, because that orgasmic experience is only for a few seconds. But what about all that intimacy and that romance before that? These are the things that women keep reminiscing, how you made her feel, the little thrills along the way before the orgasm. So you go and tell your men friend that the sex ain't just about an orgasm, okay?
Right. And
Well,
foreplay doesn't just start with the sex. Foreplay starts outside the bedroom. Be nice, talk to women.
Sometimes be nice.
Do the things she likes. And then that's foreplay there. Don't be trying to do the foreplay just when it's time to get in bed.
Sometimes they want to argue with you and fight with you, and that's foreplay.
That's sick. That's
for some people.
Okay.
I wish it was some.
That's not foreplay. That's not foreplay, Keith. That's food play. That's food play. That's not foreplay.
Most, okay? Most. Not some. Most.
But
we have to talk about that.
Really, when you're young, maybe when you're young, you can F. That's what I call it. Fussing, you know what? But you can't do it as you get older. You got to have that feeling valued and feeling really good towards the person to have sex. When you're young, you can fuss, you can do whatever, and then you still be ready.
It takes two, though. Everybody thinks it's the other person that's supposed to be doing it. No, it's you that's supposed to be doing it, and then let the other person do it on their terms too.
We have to talk about sex more.
Right.
Find a pipe when we talk about sex.
That's what's on the board, Keith.
Okay. Okay. This is from Dr. J. It says stress sex is dominant during the COVID-19 era. Not good at all. That's from Dr. J. And he's talking about the psycho sex, very dangerous stuff. Okay, it's not really psycho sex. It's black men and women actually come up with that. I call it Klingon sex, because black men and women are actually taught to be adversaries as far as mating is concerned. I'm gonna ignore you, or I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna hit you and run. That's kind of stuff. Black men and women actually socialize in a different kind of manner as far as mating in this mating dance that we do.
Speaking of coronavirus, I wrote a book called Coronavirus, Let's Talk About Sex During the Pandemic Made Simple. And it's very interesting because you will find out something about sex during the pandemic, how people feel about it. Women want to have less sex when they're in a crisis, and men tend to want more sex when they're in a crisis. They become a fix-it-all for them. So when we understand how women feel during hard times, during crisis, then we can understand what we need to do. But she always needs to feel secure, always need intimacy. It doesn't matter what's going on. So always keep that in mind. So you guys, it's been nice. This show is going to re-air tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Folks, don't be afraid to talk about sex, and black folks realize you're not Caucasian clones. Your love is not the same. Your sex is not the same, the way you feel about it. So let's get a hold to what we need, because sex is that dominating force in people's lives. So we cannot play it down. It's like it's not important, because except for money, sex is the only factor in our civilized society that people permit themselves to indulge in at the risk of losing their job, at the risk of causing harm to themselves and their family, all for a brief orgasmic, thrill. So we really have to understand sex is a dominating factor in our life. Don't forget, it's a dominating factor in our life. It is a moving force that keeps us going, and most of us will admit that sex, that obscure yet paradoxically mundane biological necessity, dominate us all in one way or another. So that's why we see a high rise in pornography. That's why we see the high rise in incest, all related to this thing called sex. So folks, let's get a grip of it. Let's understand it, and let's do it in a positive way. We can make it positive, and we can make it harmful. So do not let your sexual prowess make you harmful to others, because that become your profession. I'm just saying. So you guys go on your way, have a great day, and never be afraid to talk about sex ever again. See y'all next time. Dr. Thompson, thank you so much for joining us.
Good show, Dr. Milligan. Thanks, everyone, for the input, too. Thanks, Keith. And I didn't hear the other baby's name.
Shawannah.
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 She had a lot to say this time.
Oh, yeah. We woke her up today.
We woke her up today. She's old.
I was thinking about that After Dark one for Dr. Rosie. We need an After Dark with Dr. Rosie.
Okay. We're going to have one where can't nobody listen to but adults, for all those people who are frustrated and don't know what to do. I mean, people, you learn how to do everything else. Why people think it's not a manual that come with making love or having sex or with intimate. There's no manual on that, So we're going to hold a class on all of those people out there who never had an orgasm. We're going to tell you how to do it. All those men who cannot please your woman, we're going to tell you how to do it. All you women who just don't even want to have sex because you don't know how to tell a man what you really want, we're going to do it. There's going to be a seminar, and you're going to have to pay for it. That way we won't have the look to lose. But when you leave, you'll be able to master your sexual life henceforth. What y'all think about that?
I think it's a good idea.
Sounds good.
I think it's brilliant.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't
you guys have a great day.
All right. Peace.
Okay.
Okay. Goodbye.